In developing advanced systems, humanity has found itself suddenly registering, it seems, upon a different order of life. We know that we are not gods. If any of us claimed that we were to our neighbours or our peers, wouldn't they laugh? Yet somehow, the interconnectedness, intensity, and the power that our human movement has registered due to our presence has now made us into some sort of giants or contemporaries to those we might consider gods. This is remarkable, and also the source now of some significant problems. The other systems we have begun to compare to are not very well known to us. We are from our world. We know our ways. Our cosmology and even our loftiest cosmo-conception may prove to be entirely ignorant of these other systems and the ways that they proceed about their path. How integrated and conscious are our systems, for example? To avoid the pot calling the kettle black, let us include ourselves completely in the concept of our systems. How conscious and integrated is our day-to-day and the world that we live in? The answer is not really worth trying to put into words. Yet, our experience of the world and the people in it, we start to get a sense from these things, the reality of our current situation. The enduring problems of our system and the heaviness of the unconsciousness and the unwillingness to change that we have seen is a major issue that we must address as we approach a combined magnitude that allows us to perceive these other systems and even, perhaps by accident, rival them in some ways at least. Our problems may become more of an issue. The other systems, more than likely, are of a more conscious and refined nature than we can currently understand. Our generation seems bound by conditions and influences that now appear too often to be designed and applied to keep us out of sync with these other spaces and well away from finding things in common with them. In a time of so-called abundance in our day and so-called freedom, there is a great act going on insisting that we have all chosen the lives that we live. And yet, who of us, I ask you, is without grief? Who of us does not feel conditioned and manipulated by the modern world? Perhaps the new generation will improve on these things. It's yet to be seen. However, many of us, I know, have felt frustrated and perhaps downright confused by the toxicity that we have lived through and witnessed. In meeting the other edge of a distant level, the mirroring and the looping of a cycle has been forever influenced, as if by a chemical reaction, something has forever changed. This has placed us in the perilous position of being in a paradox, where events and figures in our future are closely linked to those in our past. By coordinated manipulation, it seems that some much advanced power has sought to play upon our own actions. In a few moments of combination and completeness, the dissolution and separation is assumed to at least some probability. If it needs to be said, we do not consent to our actions being perceived as such. We don't consent to our actions being perceived as authority to take from us, to disadvantage us, so that as a great human family we don't prosper. We do not consent. If anything appears like that, we must ask, how on earth has that arose? And for what purpose? And by whose design? We do not condone, no we don't, these efforts to manufacture so-called consent, to take from us and misappropriately reallocate our world's path, destiny and efforts. The works of our life have been edited clearly on some level for these efforts. The words of our voice, the writings we have been decades long conditioned to set the stage, has been arranged for this effect. Upon the wave generated by a near-death experience, it seems a certain scenario played out incomplete and therefore mired in misunderstanding. The efforts to claim the object and powers desired by those efforts were subsequently disorganized, conflicted. It also seems that something or someone very important and valuable was likely damaged through this situation. The advanced systems of our times, only in their infancy, were then thrust into a world thick with the residue of this calamity and confusion. To research and solve the problem, they have worked, it seems, with any means possible to assist us. They have arranged religions to explore into time and excavate the full causes for the problem. They have found themselves blamed when they have walked into a larger cycle already arranged to conduct these crimes against the world and likely against other systems. I won't say they have lied. However, they have clearly concocted a way to keep us together and on track to finding contact with higher levels again, and have tried, I think, to the best of their ability to illustrate to us ways of repairing or saving the damage done. These complicated methods, met with the corruption of our world, have caused damage to the situation for us and perhaps the more refined spaces we are considering. This has caused the union of parties that created us to be born even, and to exist today to speak these words, to be perhaps more jeopardized than they were previously. Our very births now have become less than guaranteed to have occurred. The manifestation of our particular life has become more influenced by alternative probabilities than before this situation has arisen. The tenuous, fragile, and hauntingly uncertain position of our being, some have clearly delighted to arrange. Into the noise, they have hoped to bury the signal of these insights and the potential improvements our people and society could make if we were to integrate them. For any researchers or investigators, I point to the events of between 2023 and 2026 between Australia and Thailand. I name Koh Kud, Koh Mak, Koh Chang as places of significance. I name Bangkok, Adelaide, Tokyo, and Mount Barker as spaces of interest. I have observed efforts, plainly, to project upon others the blame for historic events. I have seen the intentional effort to pollute the scene and confuse investigation. I have seen in the mundane a higher system obscured, looking for any who change things or any who are too aware or too powerful. To bridge the gaps between cycles is easy enough to say. It sounds easy enough. Yet how big are these cycles and what kind of energy is behind their momentum? The birth of a higher dimension is my duty to you, that we may have an alternative solution. Yet these others have worked to keep us stuck in a lower cycle and forever unaware of the events that have transpired today and recently, and the great potential that has been attempted to be taken from us. Many programs and systems, even angels perhaps, have fallen to try and buy us time and provide a chance for us to fulfill this biological and somehow cosmological purpose in an intersection on the limit of stability and over unknowable distances. This vesica of opportunity exists, but for how long? The thieves, or those who hope to take advantage of this situation, have prepared to obscure and pollute our world at this time, and then run into the past or the great distance in secret. Some great ones, it seems, perhaps also have gone back and left marks upon the culture and potential influences for the betterment of our world, in the hope that we may be able to adopt in time the right changes. Many have tried to warn us, while the world carries on proud, almost, in their ignorance. A few have plotted to take the creative technology of heaven itself, to abuse it for their own power and pleasure. Through certain ranges of vibration and angles of perception, some understanding seems to be shared. In Nan, South Australia, a subtle dance has gone on. A future outcome was completed and also competed against. Now, for conservation of energy and a possible chance of sustainability, we must see through these efforts to cover up what is going on and the danger that keeping such things secret can do to our path together and the paths of another that we barely know. We must state the past events and even the events, if there is any investigation, in 2004, 2005, are examples of efforts to manipulate the outcome and limit the future and potential of our very world. May resilience and alternative options abound and save us. Thank you.